Everybody, welcome back. Max, we've missed you. Do you know
Hello,
how many emails, how many Discord messages, how many Patreon messages? Where's Max? Text messages. Where is he? Is he coming back? And so we're so glad you're back. And you look as radiant as ever.
Unshaven, but stirred, and yeah, I've missed all of you folks. Good to be back. What can I say? I've been on the road. Unfortunately, I wish I could do videos with Liz every day, but unlike Mr. S, I'm not yet retired, or like Mr. Robot, living a very independent life. Was he a student, you said, or?
No, he lives in the desert.
In the desert. Okay, so not a lot of people to meet. So plenty of time to record videos. Yeah, so folks, good to see you again. And for people that only recently discovered Liz, we go way back, and we've been doing videos for a long time, even before Mr. S and Mr. Robot ever gotten into the picture. But I was away for a while, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Max. I call myself the host of the most, now the very occasional host of the most. And it's my pleasure to do a video with you today with Liz. And today's topic is the ocean, or the oceans, which are very important to life on the planet, but it's no secret that they are also in big trouble. So Liz, I think what we're gonna do today is that you're gonna group the world's oceans, or the world's water even, as an entity, correct?
Yes, we can group them as an entity. Absolutely, that's a good idea. I'm only as good as the people who question me, so that's fabulous. So I'm going to group all the oceans together. Oh, that's big. It's a big entity. And
yes,
as I so famously say, what would you like to know?
Well, good day, Mr. or Mrs. Ocean. We have a ton of questions for you, certainly not enough to cover in our today's broadcast, which will be about like 35 minutes. But maybe just ask the ocean first, how are you feeling these days or decades?
How are you feeling?
How are you doing?
Surviving. Wow. I've never probed the ocean before, or the oceans, but it's a big energy. And I can feel it's just a life force, right? It's so strong.
It's 70% of the world, right? Of the Earth's surface. So, I have a lot of questions for you, and in many different categories, and I'm sure we'll go all over the place. But maybe let me ask a question first. Like, is the ocean, is it really an integral part of like Mother Earth, like we are, or is it also really its own thing, its own entity, so to speak, with its own karma and lessons?
Do you have your own entity, or you have an entity with your own karma? Yeah, it does have karma and lessons. Yes. And so does everything living in it. Everything living in the ocean has a soul. Are you integral? No, it's separate. It's separate to the earth. So it considers itself, or they consider themselves, I'm just going to say it as a singular because I've grouped it as one. It considers itself as like a separate entity. Yeah, that's a good question.
What is your purpose? What is your function and purpose? I mean, physically we know, but how did you come to be, and what is your spiritual evolution like, or your purpose, and how do
Ooh,
humans fit in?
wow. All good
Yeah,
questions.
big question. Sorry.
How did you come into being? I was placed here. Placed here on the earth by who? But who placed you? Source. Source put the ocean on the oceans on earth. It's a life force, it's an energy. We just can't survive without it, right? If we had no ocean, there would be no life on earth. I mean, that's just point blank. What was the next question?
Well, let me take it from where you just went. What is its main function here basically to facilitate life?
Is your main function here to facilitate life? To grow life, to
Grow life.
grow and prosper, actually to get bigger. Its overall goal is to increase and not decrease, right? That's its mission.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, it's telling me it's decreasing.
So, but we've been told that sea levels are rising. So technically speaking, you are becoming bigger, right?
But overall, that is like reserved energy. So where things are melting and going into the ocean, that's actually oceanic energy, but
Mhm.
just in storage, right?
Right.
As that is now starting to deplete and it's melting into the ocean, I mean, it does, we use the energy, even though it doesn't seem like we use a lot of it, we do. And it's overall right now, it's depleting. It has no storage. It's losing the storage.
How are you losing water, like overall? Is it through the atmosphere into space, or I mean, water has to. I mean, we can use it, but it will always come back as water, even if it's polluted. I mean, it's not like we're taking it and it goes and it disappears. So how are you being depleted?
How are you being? So, as the life form within water, so, plants, animals, reefs, things like that are being depleted. It's going down. That's what it's telling me. It just, I don't know. It's almost like this is so strange, right? This is what it's telling me, and I don't understand this.
Mhm.
It's saying it reproduces itself. So the plants, so the plants and everything are like a cleansing mechanism. Okay. It's telling me it's like it cleanses itself over and over and over. The life in the ocean cleanses the ocean. But the more we are depleting life out of the ocean, the reefs are diminishing, the plant life, all of that, it won't be able to keep reproducing and cleansing itself.
Right. But as in regard to the actual total volume of the water, that remains the same, correct?
But listen to what it just said to me. It can remain the same, but it's not usable.
Oh, okay.
So what's the point?
But how does that not usable in what way? I mean, because seawater is seawater. You mean it's becoming dirtier, or is that what it means? It's
It
becoming
just
polluted?
becomes dead water that isn't usable. It becomes, so polluted and so it just said laden with chemicals that it can't be used, right? So yeah, it just becomes dead. It has no life, it has no purpose, it has no meaning.
So what do you
If it
feel
can't
about
cleanse
us?
itself.
What do you feel about us humans that are doing this to you?
The humans that are doing this to a total disaster. It's being overfished. They're not supporting the ocean. It's polluted. I'm saying, has there a lot of trash? There's tons and tons of trash in the ocean. Listen, we're not getting very complex answers today at the moment. Hopefully we can sort of start to extract some complex answers, but it's polluted, it's hurting. It says to me, I'm in pain, I'm hurting, I'm sick.
Maybe this is a bit of a complex question, but does the ocean have any view or idea of why do people behave like they're not like really part of this planet, like we're not connected to it? Like, why are we just thrashing the place and partying like there's no tomorrow? Why are we not connected to you in a way that we want to take care of you as well as the forests and the rest of the planet?
Why are humans not treating you as if we're all belong together? I don't know. It doesn't know. It doesn't know why. It just says that it's just an absolute nightmare. And it really is, it really is here to teach us a lot of lessons as well. So not only does it have its own life lessons that it has to go through, but it has lessons to teach us. Mm-hmm. And we can use the ocean in so much as, for how we need to get places, and it makes transport, we can do all that. But we're just disrespecting it. We don't seem to value it as a worthwhile entity. Most people we take it for granted. And that's what it's saying. And it really is hurting. I mean, I'm looking at it, I can feel its pain, and it hopes to turn around. But with the way things are at the moment, there's just not enough being done to actually save it. It's a slow reactor. Sorry. It's a slow reactor. So, we may do things now, but the effects of it will be felt 20, 30 years in the future.
Yeah. Well, that's very sad. Do you feel can we still turn things around?
That's a good question. Do you believe that humans or the earth can actually still turn things around? No, it's too far gone.
What are you doing to let's say to bring awareness, or what does the planet do to bring awareness to your situation? Thinking of maybe some ocean disasters like floods and storms, or are you just taking the punishment and without any consequence for us?
Are you taking the punishment without consequences? No. It gives signals. It says when you're starving, that's when you'll be aware.
Because there won't be fish anymore, right?
Right. So this is actually very interesting to me. If you remember that probe that we did where I moved out like 100, 200 years, there's no more cattle farming. There's no more cows. Cows are a disaster to the environment. Cows are very rare. We certainly are not eating red meat. There's a lot of more regulation. And the one thing that people can do on their own to feed themselves and have that independence to do so, sorry, I have hiccups, is to fish. Right? You can take your fishing pole down to the water and you can fish. Mm-hmm. At some point, the ocean is going to be so depleted that's not even going to be a possibility. And once you start depleting all of the life forms out of the ocean, like it said, it's not going to cleanse itself. It's not even going to be, something that we can use. It's going to be meaningless.
Will it ever, will we be ever able to reverse once we have some awareness and maybe new technologies, or in the future maybe we can clean it up with our collectively with our minds? I don't know, but will we be ever able to restore the ocean?
That's a good question. Will we ever be able to restore the ocean? It's going to take millions of years. Listen, the ocean is millions of years in the making, right? In order to, it's all a slow process. It responds very slowly. It's not a one-hit wonder or a rapid response. It's going to take millions of years to fix this problem.
Okay. That's pretty long. Certainly longer than like a government term.
Yeah, right. But let me ask this question, because this was a question from a subscriber.
Yeah.
Why do you think that the whales are now turning on humans? Because the whales are becoming very territorial. There's an area, I think it may have been, I don't know who it was. Somebody brought this up, where there's an area off the coast of Spain that was seeing a lot of whale activity, where they were like, trying to tip the boats over. They were being extremely aggressive. And that's because instinctively they're getting the signals, because, under the ocean or in the ocean, it's all a big energetic communication thing, even though they may not be like humans putting news out on a news channel. They're still communicating. They're still receiving signals from the ocean and the environment, and they can understand how diabolical this situation is going. So for their own survival, they're becoming aggressive.
And how about I had the question here on the list. I would have come to it later, but we're here now. Yeah. So and how about just whale and orca beachings all over the world? We've been told they are strongly increasing. Is that related? I assume it's related to maybe the food situation of that there's just not enough for them to feed off. Like why is the number of whale and orca and why are those species basically throwing themselves on beaches around the world more and more?
Why are they throwing themselves? They're sick. They're sick. They're not well. And instead of just dying naturally in the ocean and being attacked and they're beaching themselves. I'm saying, are they getting lost? No, they're not getting lost at all. They know exactly what they're doing. It's like, assisted suicide clinic. When people are terminally ill, they want to go in Europe, they can go do assisted suicide. It's a suicide. That's what they're doing. They're beaching themselves, trying to commit suicide. It's there's something wrong. The water is making them sick. There is also some sort of and it's a mental disease. It's not an actual. I'm like, do they get Alzheimer's? And it seems like they do. It seems like they do get dementia and Alzheimer's. The aquatic species form. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? So,
and what causes that? What is it that they eat or do that causes that?
What is it that causes that?
Is it pesticides in the water that like accumulate in animals or plants that they eat?
So it all has to do with the process of evolution, right? So in order to survive, we all have to evolve. And with the amount of changes that are taking place in the ocean, they're far too rapid for species to keep up with on a DNA genetic level, right? So
Mhm.
they just can't keep up. They can't. It takes a long time to evolve animal and human behavior on a, on a genetic and intuitive subconscious level. I mean, on a conscious mind level, it does take a while as well. But if you drum in as much as you can, say the government wants you to think a certain way or feel a certain way, excuse me, they can drum in that information to you by many, many messages. And then eventually your population will sort of mostly on a mass scale adopt those messages. But here, it's not evolution at a conscious mind level. This is evolution on a subconscious, and they're not keeping up with the change. The changes are far too rapid. And so there's this massive disconnect between the conscious mind that they have and the subconscious, and that's what's going on. They're getting this brain issue. And so it's easier to take yourself out of the equation than trying to survive. I mean, there's not like aquatic nursing homes, right? Whereas we just, we either have family that look after us or we shove them in a home when they become too much. They don't have that. So they take themselves out naturally.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting question for another video, maybe to see if this kind of a similar problem affects people. Because I mean, among people, dementia and Parkinson, all those diseases are also on the rise, right? And more people seeming to be very confused, not knowing what's left and right anymore. I'm wondering if this affects us as well, but let's not go there now. What can we do except stop eating fish and those kind of things? But what can we do to help you heal on an individual level? Or can we do anything at all?
What can we do? Humans do to help you on a collective or an individual level? Oh God, it says cease to exist.
Oh,
God, that's not good.
It's a tall order. Okay.
Because the ocean not only absorbs, what we throw into it, it also absorbs a lot of the pollution in the atmosphere as well. I don't know how. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a physicist. Don't ask me. I don't know. But I'm getting that information very strongly that, it pulls, it has this magnetic pull pollution. It really does do a lot of cleansing. And when it is no longer available to do that cleansing on a mass scale that it can now, we are totally screwed.
Yeah, well, so the sea is absorbing a lot of the CO2. That there should be more CO2 in the atmosphere based on our activities than is actually there. And the idea is that the ocean is absorbing most of it, but now the sea it's warming up, so it can absorb less. And I think also the acidity of the sea is related to that. Whereby basically the absorption capacity, it's like maxed out. So whatever we dump, and I'm not gonna talk about the validity of the climate change. I'm not the person to address that, but I'm following the mainstream here in this dossier. So cease to exist. Okay, well then the ocean can hopes that Mr. Putin will push the button, I guess. Let's see, we have a ton of questions here. Yeah, it's kind of considering that it's kind of sad. The next question is, what how can the ocean help heal us? But I feel the question should not be what it can do for us, because it already did a lot, right?
Well, the ocean heals us all the time, because just being near the ocean is very healing. It does have a lot of healing properties. It
How does that
maintains
work?
equilibrium. It works on an energetic level. And what happens is when you're near the ocean, wow, this is so amazing. It tends to pull a lot of negativity out of you, right? It's a big absorption. It's like a big sponge, as it were, and
Yeah.
it's taking away a lot of that negative energy away from you, and it's bringing about clarity and the ability to process. Now, I understand this because oftentimes people are so bogged down with trauma and negative emotions, they can't even begin to process it because the body is so confused, and the conscious mind, subconscious, soul, whatever, so confused that they can't, manage to do that. It's like it's all wound up in this tight ball, and nobody knows where to start. So it just sits there in this ball of life lessons that you can't possibly begin to decipher and untangle, which is why the CTT is so important. That's what we do. But anyway, but when you're near the ocean automatically pulls this negative. It does. It pulls the negative of the earth. It pulls the negative of a human, and it cleanses it, and it puts it back. It's an automatic transmutation machine.
And so how does it process that negativity that it takes out? Like, can it transform that into positive energy?
Yeah, it does. The mere fact of the movement of the ocean, it actually transmutes that. Look, this is so cool. Let me tell you why. Oftentimes and you've done the CTT, and you've done the CTT with George, right? But anyway, oftentimes when you do the CTT, like I'll start getting this rocking motion, right? You'll start to naturally sway. You'll start to naturally like move your head back and forth, round and round. Your body will start rocking. Well, think about the movement of the ocean. It sways and rocks and sways and rocks, right? That mere fact of it's moving, it's like a washing machine, a negative washing machine. It's cleansing that energy into white light energy, and it puts it back out there. I had no idea that the ocean could do that.
Amazing. Amazing. And is that function thus far still unaffected? Is that still working? And will that keep working?
It won't keep working if it doesn't sustain life force. No, it won't, because once it doesn't have that life force, it just becomes like dead water, right? It's really weird. It's hard for me to understand. I'm not a marine biologist. I'm not a scientist, but from what it's telling me is, that life force of the ocean, it has to do that in order to sustain life within it. Okay. And it's like the earth plane, the human and the earth plane washing machine.
Yeah.
Wow. That is huge. I never knew that about the ocean.
Yeah, I kind of knew aspects of it, but this is kind of the next level. And again, so sad to hear that the ocean is doing even worse than we thought it did. What makes you most happy, or can raise your energy, your vibration?
That's a great question. What makes you most happy? It's to be left alone to do its job. It doesn't like interference. I'm saying, but what about people, scientists that are like regrowing or trying to repopulate? No, that's fine. But it doesn't like all this interference. It doesn't like, pipelines being laid down in it. It doesn't like, being disturbed. It doesn't like drilling. It doesn't like, it's like, leave me alone. It's almost like a human being poked and prodded all the time. They don't want to be poked and prodded. And that's how the ocean is. It's like, leave me alone. Stop using me. Stop bothering me.
Right. Are there aliens that live on the ocean floor?
Well, we knew we had to ask that question, right?
It's from one of our readers. Yeah, I think many readers actually asked that question. So.
Well, because anything is possible. Are there aliens living on the ocean floor? That's a no. But let me ask Bashar. So I'm going to pull Bashar in here. Do aliens exist in the ocean? No, that's a negative. They are fascinated by the ocean. They understand the ocean more than we do. They tend to examine the ocean, and they monitor it. They wish they had something like that on their planets or wherever they exist, but they just don't.
Yeah, that's interesting because, and the reason I asked, because we were talking about the environment, but I was hoping maybe that aliens could lend us a hand in keeping the ocean clean. That's why I went there. But it's kind of an accepted fact, I think, within ufology, that there are underground alien bases on land, but maybe more so on the ocean floor. But both the ocean and Bashar, I don't know how he suddenly popped into the story, but they basically are saying it's not true, correct?
That is correct. But don't forget, aliens, certainly the ones that I've had contact with, they communicate telepathically. They're energetic beings, right? Mm-hmm. They don't necessarily have a body, or certainly the ones that I talk to. Yeah. They can go wherever they want to. They're not going to drown in water. Spirits are not going to drown in water. They don't have lungs. You know what I mean? They don't have to worry about like swallowing water, not being able to swim. They go wherever they want to go. So presumably, if they wanted to collectively gather at the bottom of the ocean on an energetic form, they could. Now, what is interesting as I'm saying this is I have a spirit standing here saying to me, it's strictly forbidden. So from a spirit perspective, right, they're not allowed to go into the ocean. They're not allowed to disturb it, because once you drop the body, you become a ball of energy and you're governed by source. And I mean, we're governed by source anyway, whether we're in a body or not. But aliens are not governed by source like we are. Now, what spirit are telling me is it's strictly forbidden to enter into the ocean. You're not supposed to disturb it at all.
How about, how I mentioned aliens, but how about maybe other intelligent species that live? Well, let me ask it this way. Is there intelligent life in the ocean that is more intelligent than people, or at the same level?
Oh, that's a good question.
Could be whales, but maybe something we never heard of.
Is there anything that's more intelligent than a human living in the ocean? Yes. So, as a collective, the species and all the life forms living in the ocean, as a collective, they are far more intelligent than humans. However, when you take them apart individually, no. Humans are the most complex creatures on the planet. And that's interesting to me, because in readings, I get asked to probe animals, and I get asked to probe certain things that are non-human, apart from aliens, right? The answers are very simple. The answers are like, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I don't feel well, I feel great. They're very basic answers. Humans, on the other hand, are such complex individuals that go through all of these circumstances. And when you're doing, like, even when I do the CTT and I'm unraveling somebody, it takes a long time. It takes a long time. CTT is not a one-hit wonder. I mean, it can work with like phobias and all that, yes. But certainly when you're talking about the complexity of a human and their thought processes, it's far complex, more complex than anything on the planet.
So would the same apply then to whales and species like dolphins are said to be very intelligent, but basically that's not the case, at least not to the degree that humans are intelligent.
Right. So they do tend to experience a more wide range of emotions. And what lays down the complexities in a species or in a human is the ability to experience like all of these emotions. Animals typically, they do experience emotions, but not the hundreds or thousands of emotions that we may feel at any one time, right?
Yeah.
So we can feel like jealous and rage and betrayal and all this at once. Their emotions are not as heavy as that, not as complex. Their emotions are very much more simplified. However, with dolphins and whales and more intelligent life forms in the animal kingdom, right? They experience more emotions. Now, the reason they do that is they're getting geared up to be human. So, I find that we have evolved. Well, a lot of us have started out like we separate from source or this ball of light. Then we get sent down to the earth plane and we start out as like amoeba, blades of grass, a tree. Not saying that their significance isn't important. Of course it is. But then you start out, we've had lots of lifetimes as birds and lots of aquatic lifetimes. And then we become more, then we evolve eventually into human beings. And we started out like as cavemen. And then we became tribal. And then we had tribal wars. And then we had territory. And it goes on and on and on. This existence that we have today is very unique because now we're existing with technology, we're existing with money, the pursuit of money, right? All of these are very new. And and a more ethical, okay, it doesn't feel like it, right? But our ethics have certainly changed. So we're no longer, saying in us in the Western world, we're no longer killing and maiming people over territory and having these territorial wars. We are now, in this hot pursuit of money and comfort. So that's all very new to the human existence. Whereas animals, and like I said, when I do the CTT, the past life regression technique, we've had so many lifetimes in the ocean. We really should respect it a lot more, considering that it was our home for probably many, many thousands of years as we were experiencing those lifetimes.
Yeah, it's like killing your own mother almost. Eh? So Liz, I think you also need to make a hard stop like right about now, correct?
Yeah, so this will be part 1, and we will reconvene and do part 2. Just a couple of announcements, if that's okay, please.
Can I just quickly say something about the part 2, and then you can close all your all the announcements. Yeah, so we you submitted us many questions, many great questions. So we have questions related to transportation, like shipping, like where in the world is it the least safe for cruises, and of course more about life in the ocean, about mysteries like Atlantis and other civilizations, and obviously climate change and disasters and things that will take place in the ocean in the future. So yeah, plenty of ground to cover, and we'll get to that in part 2. So we'll see you next time. And Liz, what do you have to announce?
Just to announce a couple of things. First of all, channels can become censored from time to time for whatever ridiculous reason, or maybe not so ridiculous reason, who knows, but you never, you know what I mean? I may be psychic, and but you never see it coming, right? So make sure you go to my website, psychiclizcross.com. You sign up for the newsletter, so you will always know where to find us. I'm not going to spam you. Like I'm just not that kind of person. I don't have that kind of time. But make sure you sign up for the newsletter. And yeah, again, if you want to support this YouTube channel, please go to Patreon/remote viewing and beyond. Max, thank you for coming back and joining us. Everybody, like I said, they've missed you tremendously. Welcome back. The host of the occasional most. No, what is it? The occasional host of the most?
It's the host of the most, but the more and more occasional, ever more occasional. And folks, she does spam you, by the way, so beware.
No, I don't. I don't even know how to work the newsletter function yet. Whatever. But at least if we have that information there, you know, if there is a case where you need to find us, then we will let you know where we are. So that's really important. Lots of people have many different YouTube channels just to, have a buffer against this kind of thing. But then if they find out, they'll take down those channels as well. It's like a blanket ban, right? So instead of going through all that, if you just sign up for the newsletter, and then we'll let you know where we are. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you next time, folks.